Started. All right, today I have Shawn Richardson. He is a strength coach with nearly 20 years of experience. He is also the designer of the bodybuilding and mobile functionality hammer, also called the BAMF. And today he's here to share his knowledge and expertise on strength training with us. Welcome, Shawn. So happy to have you.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate your time.
Yes. So, can you give us a little bit of a background of your story with fitness, how you got into it, your personal journey with fitness?
Sure, it's we'll do Cliff's notes because it has been a long time. I have an acting degree, and early on there was a lot of sword fights and physical stuff, which kind of turned me to that aspect of the industry, but also fitness in general. Because with that field, if your body doesn't look and match what the casting person is expecting, you kind of have to fit those molds. Um, and that's what ended me up in the gym really when I was in college. I played sports in high school, but going for the aesthetic side of things in college, and really just hating every minute of it. Um, because it with self-esteem issues and all the rest of it, just going and staring at myself in the mirror, hoping to one day like what I saw was really not enjoyable. And so after a couple of years of that, I kind of pivoted into more of a body or a powerlifting side of things, but had bad coaching. And I ended up outside just throwing rocks and climbing trees and enjoying that. And that's where the acting kind of fell off. And I had somebody come to me and go, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing, but can I do it too?" And so doing as much reading as possible on these, there were more fringe aspects of athleticism, the influence of parkour and all the rest of it, and just finding myself in conversations with a weird group of people. Um, I ended up being challenged to audition for American Ninja Warrior in 2016, and I did that. I went to finals that year. Didn't do very well in finals, but it was still a blast. And along the way, designed this piece of fitness equipment based off of, a giant hammer because I was watching Avengers and didn't like the way Chris Hemsworth threw the thing. Um, but my dad's family owned lumber mills, so growing up, the idea that somebody looked strong versus was strong is something that I was very familiar with. My granddad looked like a keg, but the first time I tried to keep up with him splitting wood, I threw up in about 15 minutes. And I was 16. So the incongruity of how strong a person is and how strong a person looks was something I was very aware of. And that's really kind of where I found myself now of going, at the end of the day, the only thing that's important is will you do it? And I think the fitness industry sells us a result as a consumer. And so in my little niche of fitness, it's going, if you like it and it keeps you healthy and it's not hurting you or hurting somebody else, it's fine. Do the thing you love and be healthy with it. And other than that, it's all vanity anyway. So
Yeah, I love that philosophy. It's less about looking a certain way and more about enjoying it and finding something that you will enjoy and actually do.
absolutely. And in the world of fitness, I this is something that I've been kind of speaking about more recently, but understanding what market demographic you are to the advertising agencies and what pain points they're pushing on you. Because I have these conversations with, I have a coach that helps me build the online platform because I'm not good at it. And we're always talking about pain points. And it's specifically what scar tissue can you press on somebody to make them go, oh, and then pull out their wallet. And for
Yes.
I've met so many coaches who kind of feel icky doing it because we got in the industry to help. I I was bullied by the athletes in high school. So it's one of the reasons why I didn't end up in the gym for so long because I didn't want to be around those people. And so to work in the field and go, I would rather stand in the gap with the guy who would rather be playing D&D or reading a comic book or and go, look, no, you can do this. We still have a responsibility to take care of your body. Um, and social media just does a terrible job on our brains going, your worth as a person is how many likes a video has, or, what a stranger says in the comments. And so, but it's a hard thing to kind of stand against the current and go, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a multi-billion dollar industry and it only gets more revenue based every year. So the more I can sit with folks and go, look, if you want to swing a giant hammer around, let's do it. If you'd really rather go climb a rock, go climb a rock. If it, we spend so much time on social media and in TV watching other people have adventures rather than going and having them ourselves. I think that world is incredibly diverse. And if fitness in general would kind of make peace with other disciplines, we could help more people that way. But that's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, I so appreciate that perspective and the audience that you speak to. I can totally relate to like as a coach pushing pain points. It feels extractive and dehumanizing in some points. And of course, we want to speak to our audience, but we don't want to use their pain for profit. And there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with exchanging services, but doing it from an ethical and aligned perspective can sometimes feel incongruent with what we're told to do as fitness coaches. I relate to that so much.
Yeah,
It's an inner battle that I've had myself. Yeah.
the only way that I've been able to get over it is to be very open about it with my clients and go, okay, you're here because your your sense of self-worth was you thought coming here would make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, let me back. You thought coming to the gym or losing some weight or getting stronger would make you better. And the first conversation we have is going, look, I'm gonna sit with you in this, but I can't do that. I can't make you better. I can make you faster, I can make you stronger, I can make you leaner, I can make you, but those are very specific areas. Better is too amorphous. And because now we have the question of, well, who's making the scale? Better for
Yeah.
who? Um, CrossFit is a great example of this. The winner of the CrossFit Games, we say they're the fittest man, the fittest woman on the planet. But when you make up the rules, it's easy to win every time. It's you make the guy who wins the CrossFit Games play one-on-one basketball with a middle school starting forward, and he's probably going to get beat. So what does that mean? And helping people to see that aspect of the sale, I find really beneficial to go find something you want to do. You want to do a pull up? Yes, let's do a pull up. Because if you can't do one on Tuesday and then you do one on Thursday and you're still not proud of yourself, maybe you should stop spending money on the personal trainer and start spending it at the therapist's office because we're talking about something different.
Absolutely.
And so I think more than anything, that's what Western strength training needs is a bit of a recalibration there. We've been making athletes for hundreds of years, thousands even. Like the best coaching exists. You can find these programs everywhere. But the the program that goes along with the mental health side of it and goes, hey, you want to have a conversation about why body dysmorphia still exists in the elite bodybuilding community, and we're still dealing with eating disorders. I think it was when the DSM-5 came out, there are several new classifications of eating disorder, and they're really related to over pursuance of weight loss.
Yeah.
So,
Orthorexia is one of
yeah.
them. Just
Okay,
needing
yeah,
to
I
eat
never know
right.
the names. Because
No, it's
which one's
okay.
that one?
Yeah, orthorexia is like ortho, like correct, like always wanting to be super healthy and clean. That's
Hmm.
like a subdivision. It's not in the DSM, but it is like an acknowledged subdivision of an eating
Okay.
disorder. And it's so common.
Yeah, and the one that stands out to me is it's not anorexia, but it's basically you get somebody who eats like five things and it accumulates into a net caloric negative but they're eating all day. So like, I'm not anorexic. I'm like, yeah, but you've only had iceberg lettuce for 2 weeks,
Right.
so we are creating nutrient deficiency. And it's because we've idolized this perception of health, but there's no agreement across the industry about what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's why I say pain points is really the big thing, because I can look at my own story and go, oh, well, this is where I felt weak as a child. And so the time that I spend in the gym for a long time was trying to take some of that back for myself and just not feel like I was a target. Um, wasn't healthy mentally, but I was a physically stronger person. Um, but if we've got really healthy bodies carrying around really broken minds, it's kind of rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The boat's still going down.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah, that's the importance of holistic health and approaching yourself as a whole being. And back to the pain points, I just want to point out most of the people listening to this aren't fitness coaches like us, probably, but
mhm.
just sending that message out of being aware of how we're being marketed to and
Yeah.
what buttons they're pushing to make us want
Mhm.
to buy. And just that awareness can really add a new dimension to how we operate and how we make choices for our health. Yeah, those are such good points. I
It
appreciate that.
for your audience, if you can start like when you start noticing, it feels incredibly powerful.
Hmm.
Like if an ad hits your, there's one that's going around right now. I actually kept playing this dumb game so I could record the ad because it's all AI generated and it's for Tai Chi. I guess it's an app that does Tai Chi.
I've
Have you
seen
seen
that
it?
one. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I've seen that one.
Okay. I hate this ad so much.
Tell us
And
why you hate it so
so
listeners can break it down. Yeah.
okay, so the ad, you can find it two different ways. One is a young, and they're all AI generated. It's a young, incredibly attractive woman. The first one that I saw, she's got dark hair to her shoulders in curtain sheets, and she's talking to a guy in his probably middle 50s of an Asian lineage talking about Tai Chi. And he's wearing a shirt for not wearing a shirt for some reason in this interview setting. Why? Who knows? And she's talking about what will happen to my husband if he starts doing Tai Chi? And then the the guy she's speaking to says, well, how old is your husband? And she goes, 56. And at that point I go, pause. If that woman is married to a 56-year-old guy, one of three things is happening. One, he's yoked enough that his age doesn't matter. Two, he's rich enough that his age doesn't matter. Or three, like there's some daddy issue that's going on. Like this is a completely unrealized scenario, but what it's doing is talking to the audience of 50 something year old men and saying, if you do not feel attractive to women who look like this shift in your life will possibly get her attention for you. So that subsection of people at that age group, you're probably talking about a divorce. You're probably talking about a lot of emotional trauma that's gone on there or never feeling wanted. And the AI has just gotten so good that you're able to, you know, create this false scenario. And then the man responds, still shirtless, that he would be unrecognizable in a month and the gym is made to break you when you're over 50 and it's all a sales tactic. And sure, maybe there are people where if you went to the gym, maybe it wouldn't break your body if you knew what you were doing, but it might break your mind. I know I worked at not supposed to name drop. I worked at a Crunch Fitness as a personal trainer after my divorce for several years. And one of the top three things that got me to leave was women's fashion in fitness because I'm trying to keep my eyeballs in my head. I was dating a great woman who is now my wife. I'm not trying to look at anybody else, but the clothing is being painted on. And I don't know you, so I'm not going to speak into what you're wearing to the gym. I just didn't like the environment for myself. So now I'm training in my driveway. But that ad really just kind of stuck with me as okay, both of these people are fake. An AI generator created them to specifically target one group of people and their very specific insecurities, and then say Tai Chi will fix it. Now, Tai Chi seems great. I had a buddy in college that did a lot of it. Like, this is not to knock Tai Chi. This is not to knock the app. If Tai Chi is the thing that gets you off the couch, freaking do Tai Chi. But every one of these things oversimplifies and says, oh, all you need to do is this for 5 minutes a day, and you don't need to get out of a chair. I'm like, I'm pretty sure if you still eat Reese's Pieces cereal for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you're not going outside in the sun and all the it's a holistic thing. There's more we have to do. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you saw the ad because I told a friend of mine about it, and like, where are you getting this stuff? And it's,
I
you
think
know,
when I watched it the first time I saw one of those, I just laughed. I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. It's kind of an obvious example, but yeah, relevant. So
yeah.
you've worked not only on yourself with your own fitness journey, but you've worked with different clients.
Mhm.
So what are some things that you've learned about strength training if we're getting into like the focus of what you do from your experience? What are some maybe common misconceptions that you see with strength training or some key points that ways you've seen people grow through strength training in your work?
Um, the way that I like explaining it to people is nobody climbs Everest that doesn't enjoy walking uphill. And so often along the journey with a client, one of the things that they eventually realize is, I don't want to be doing this. I want to be doing that. Like, I would rather be, I don't want to spend all day on a piece of cardio equipment. I would rather be strong. And this really happens with women, especially when they come in and the bucket is kind of similar of, okay, I want to get leaner and I want to get toned, but I don't want to get bulky and I don't want to lift heavy weights and I want to do, but at the end of the day, they're all talking about the result that they would like. I would like Michelle Obama's arms. I would like, such and such a person's abs. And now we're shopping for body parts. And this is weird. Um, Incidentally, if you haven't seen the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, you should see it. It's really good. But that's what the fitness industry does. It convinces us that you can have this body part. You can have this body part. Well, hold on. First of all, that body part may not exist because that's makeup and all the rest of it. But if you hate the way you have to achieve the body part that you want, the moment the conditions are not perfect, you're not going to want to do it. And if you're setting yourself up for failure in that way, we're just going to have to start again 6 months from now or a year from now, or, just January is coming up. So the resolution will have to come again. So the biggest thing that I try and do quickly with clients is go, if you never changed, if your body never changed physically, like the appearance of it never changed, what would you want to do then?
Wow. Yeah, that's such a powerful question. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that question.
And it's real quick because it makes people go, "Oh, geez, I don't know if I would want to do anything." I'm like, "Okay, good. That's great because it means you actually don't want to do what you're asking me to help you do." And
Hmm.
now, which is you're going to resent me and I'm the bad guy because I'm the one saying, "Hey, let's eat this and not that." Whereas if you take the people that we hold in the highest esteem in terms of athleticism, they're doing something they love. And their body looks like the body of a person who is very, very good at what they do. We look at those things and go, oh, I want a body that looks like that. Okay, well, do you want to do what they did to earn it? Because if you don't, it's at least useful to know getting started. It doesn't mean don't start. You want to look like Usain Bolt? Okay, we're going to run a Jamaican sprint program. And maybe after some progress, you realize that you actually really do love it. But maybe you don't. Maybe you enjoy powerlifting and you've, or strongman, strong woman, if you're more gratified by heavy thing on ground, heavy thing in air, heavy thing on ground again, your body's probably going to require a little bit more body fat to do that well because we have to cushion the joint and all the rest of it. It's so nuanced and so diverse. But if we're only thinking about final outcomes,
Yeah.
um,
And
it
that
gets a little weird.
that that points to like the unrealistic standards that we're given. It also points to like this idea of body parts, like you said, as accessories. And I remember when I first got into fitness, like a long time ago, I had that mindset too, where it's like, oh, I want that body part. So if I do these exercises, I will get that body part. Or if you want these kinds of abs. And so much of it is just genetic, like
Hmm.
no matter what you do too, like, and so it all comes down to what you're saying is accepting your body and doing what you enjoy rather than focusing on this one specific result.
Absolutely. The best example of that for me, because I make fitness equipment, I have a niche piece of fitness equipment. My favorite is Shake Weight. When Shake Weight came out, they made this ad where they hired a bunch of like top tier fitness models to do this Shake Weight program. And the message that it sends is this body is achievable if you do this.
Mm-hmm.
None of those people had done that. Like they
Yep.
probably were given the Shake Weight for a week and to practice this, practice this, practice this. And then they stopped drinking water for 72 hours. So they look shredded. And all of a sudden, we're watching this ad going, oh, it's that simple. It's not that simple. But we
Hmm.
can't be honest to one another, from a day to day basis. And I actually struggle with this a lot where I am not what I would consider to be the physiology of somebody that sells fitness equipment. My fitness equipment works, the hammer works, but my genetics are they go that way. So as I'm selling my product, I actually made an ad addressing this where I have a friend who has a phenomenal physique. He is a glorious black man, and I just smash cut his legs on my waist because I got so many comments saying, "Why would I buy fitness equipment from you? You look like you skipped leg day." I was like, "Do you have any idea how many leg days I have to do to look like I skip leg day for you?" Um, but there is a physiological component, but I just love swinging the hammer around. So
Yeah, tell us more about your hammer, and I know it's related to shoulder stability, so that's obviously something that you found as something that was lacking in the fitness world and a lot of our exercises.
yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about shoulder stability and why you created this cool hammer and what it's about.
Oh, well, I would love to tell you that I created the hammer on purpose. I did not. It was an experiment. I bolted a big piece of wood to a rod and I almost dislocated my shoulder. But with human anatomy has always really interested me, understanding how the musculature orients together and what the patterns are. And in non-Western countries where people actually have to work for their life and fitness means something different, are you fit enough to do your job? Is You see different strength training methodologies. So if you go to India, Iran, Pakistan, places that are doing Indian clubs and meals and these huge rotational movements, you see physiques that would not sell a product in the West able to exert this amazing amount of power. And you go, okay, we're missing something here. So early on in my career, adapting Indian clubs and maces in the CrossFit sphere or something else, because I'm going, guys, this is not how your shoulder is structured. But if you're trying to create a physique, we're just trying to make as much hypertrophy as possible. And for the shoulder in particular, much gets said about the aesthetic of the back of the shoulder versus the front of the shoulder. And does it look capped and all the rest of this stuff? And for me, as a strength coach, we're always talking about shoulder pain. And it's because the hypertrophy of the muscle causes the inside of the joint to compress. And there aren't a lot of studies on this, but the ones that I've read are specific. Cricket gets a lot of them, and it's India, so that makes sense. but lacrosse, but the incorporation of rotational movement creates space in the AC joint, space in the shoulder joint, which your body fills with lubrication. And the joint just doesn't get all crunchy as much. It doesn't necessarily look as pretty, but it is a healthier capacity in that musculature. So when I originally bolted a rod to a piece of wood, I didn't think anything of it, but it felt like a kettlebell. And because of the handle orientation, I could rotate it around my body like a mace. And then there were a couple of years where I was trying to figure out, okay, well, if I can't slam this thing on the ground, there's no point. So we had to find a material that was capable of withstanding that pressure. And that's kind of 8 years of where Banff Hammer came from, of going trial, error, test, trial, error, test, trial, error, test. Um, and it turns out, for if you get the dorky muscular population of the United States who won't spin an Indian club, if you give them a giant hammer, they're like, I feel like a superhero. And you're like, good, do your rotation. And then they start to notice that their grip strength is a little bit different. The strength of the wrist is challenged differently because of the handle orientation. I'm doing some work with some guys who focus on like youth baseball here in Atlanta. There's a huge market that goes, they'll start grooming kids from like 6 years old for Major League Baseball, and a third of them will graduate high school with an elbow reconstruction. Some of them are scheduling it. Like their friends will get together and they'll go out to a field and throw until they blow their elbow out when they're like sophomores in high school, so they can go under the knife between sophomore year and junior year. They'll take a piece of connected tissue from the hamstring, they'll put it in the elbow, and if the kid rehabs properly, he can throw 5 miles an hour faster on average. As parents, and I'm a parent of three, I have two kids and my stepdaughter, but I just look at that and go, do we not see that we're sacrificing our children to this idol? Because the kid that makes it to Major League Baseball is like blessed of circumstance and blessed of physiology. That's all Major League sports. Um, and yet we're, as parents, allowing this thing to happen. So and that's kind of a side tangent for one of the uses of this heavy loaded rotational movement. But for the general population, most things in almost nothing in their life is shaped like a barbell. If I've given the hammer to clients who are 80, and just the act of it's unevenly loaded, so you must be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
After 50, if balance isn't a component of your strength training program and you're working with the coach, please ask them why. If you aren't working with a coach and you want to start, balance needs to be a component, because a broken hip is like slip and fall is one of the highest physical problems for older populations. But when everything is a tracked piece of equipment in the gym or a balanced weight application, we have less requirement for that need to be balanced. And balance training, what I took from it from the Ninja Warrior side, is you're just falling over until you stop falling over in controlled circumstances. So giving an older client something that is unevenly loaded, now their musculature and their brain is communicating, and they don't even it sounds a little rude to be like they don't have to understand why, but I started getting questions from my clients. Hey, why can't I do this? I'm like, that's a really good question. And I like, the answer is you just haven't practiced. But holding something weird and getting people moving around, not just pushing forward and back, but also rotating, because we are rotational beings. Every like it's we're round, we're not square. So doing ranges of motion that are odd make life less weird to engage with because we're more used to it. So
Yeah.
that's really where Banff came from. The fact that it looks like a cosplay toy is just kind of on the side of it. Yes, it looks like Thor's hammer, but and there's some very specific design reasons for that. But I have yet to engage with a client that, regardless of age, skill level, or goal, that hasn't had some benefit from this heavy, uneven distribution of load.
Yeah,
Um,
and I want to point out, like you're saying, back to like a basic principle of training is the said principle, the specific adaptation
mhm.
to impose demands. Our bodies will only adapt to what we demand of it. And like you're saying, a traditional barbell or a lot of the exercises that we do in the gym or like those simple exercises, which are valuable, they don't always incorporate different planes of motion, like the transverse planes of motion where you're doing rotation. I notice for myself when I incorporate more rotation work, which I really enjoy, like with doing using dumbbells. I really want to play with your hammer. That sounds fun. Like the band hammer sounds like I could have so much fun working out with it. But like whenever I incorporate more rotational movements, which I do, and make sure that I add that into my routine, I notice that just like everyday movements feel smoother. Like a good example is like you just put on your seatbelt, like going from pulling the top down to across your body, or like turning
Mhm.
back in the car when you're driving, or those
Or
are functional movements that we do as humans. Yeah.
absolutely. And work like in the gym, you do find I rarely get somebody who's like, "Oh, I was doing my 500th kettlebell swing and I pulled my back." No, they pull their back out when they've done their 500th swing and then they go to put the kettlebell down and now they're not paying attention to their motor pattern anymore and their back will go. And that to me just goes, we're good at creating the perfect circumstance to be strong.
Yeah.
Life is not perfect. It's messy and gross. And that's not to say that all of your training should be messy and gross. It just it harkens back to something you said earlier. There's a holistic element to it. Yeah, I want to find the places in your body. If your hamstrings are weak in comparison to your quads, it's my job as a coach to figure that out. But as a client, you probably have better things to think about. That's why you're paying me to think about it for you. But having the confidence to know that if there's water on the floor that you don't see and you slip in your kitchen and have to grab the counter, that's not going to lay you up for a week, that's pretty invaluable, especially to somebody who is 70, 75. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's a confidence that, in my experience, it comes through practice. The number of times you get client, I can't do this yet. Can't do it yet, but that's the goal. You asked me to help bulletproof you. So we have to get into, we got to go down range a little bit. Um, but that's really where the staying power of Banff it came from is I didn't do it on purpose. I kind of discovered that this works. Um, and I've just been at it for longer than anybody else. But I would love to go at some point to India and study under these guys that are swinging 100 pounds of concrete on a bamboo rod, and it's phenomenally different. And go, why? If you ask a professional bodybuilder to do that, he's not able to get into these ranges of motion. Um, so it's
Yeah. That's so cool. And that goes back to what you started saying, that is rather than training just for a specific result, training more for function and doing things
Mhm.
that we enjoy that are actually beneficial for our lives. So,
Sure.
Shawn, I ask my all my guests the same question, and before I ask that though, where can people find you? Because if people are like, "Ooh, I want to try this Bam Hammer," I'm like sold. I need to work on my balance, and this sounds really fun. I want to be a superhero. Where can they go?
So, bamfhammer.com is our website, BAMF Hammer. That's the same on Instagram, and that's where I'm most active. We have a TikTok account as well. But Instagram is probably the easiest place to find me. I'm the only one running it. So if you reach out there, that I'm the one you're talking to.
Cool.
Um, and I'm building right now a it's a three piece of equipment protocol, and it's really meant for the if you want to train at home and not spend 10 grand on a lot of equipment. It's a band hammer, a sandbag, and a landmine setup for a barbell. Which, if your client base is not familiar, I got a recommendation for you. This guy's
I like
great.
landmines. Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
Can you explain
It
what that is for listeners and
Sure.
like what it looks
S-
like?
So a landmine is a fulcrum at a corner. So you take the barbell and anchor it into a hinge. And what it allows you to do, and I learned from a brilliant guy named Alex Canellis who really put this together with some rotational influence. It allows you to start doing Olympic lifting with a very safe environment. So if you throw a clean or throw a snatch and it goes wrong, you can just take a step back and the barbell falls down, as opposed to getting two hands on the barbell and getting the barbell up overhead. Now we're dealing with a much higher technical bar, no pun intended. And it can be discouraging for people. Whereas landmine, I've been able to get those motor patterns in 2 or 3 training sessions of about an hour. But it
That's
takes those 3 pieces of equipment and builds, hey, real simple volume protocol. Your time is limited. At any point in time, your kids might come out and be like, hey, I need this. And so, okay, got it. Like,
yeah.
but being able to pack all of it up in a tiny space, put it in your garage, because I can't sacrifice my garage. I've got all my stuff in it. And um, so these the home gym influencers who have I've met guys that have spent $100,000 on a specialized home gym. I'm like, well, first of all, where do you build stuff? Second, where's your car go? And where's all your flotsam? Um, but again, it's just every person has a responsibility for their own health. We all also have very different circumstances. So the more we can diversify our options, the more people we can help get healthy. Because
Yeah.
it's not about, at the end of the day, I can't do your push-ups for you. And your health is yours to curate and get whatever help you need there. So we, if big hammer's the way to do it, big hammer's the way to do it. And if it's not, that's okay too.
And with that, I'm curious, just practically, like, do you offer exercises that people can do or demonstrations so
Yeah.
people know how to use it when they get one?
So I have a school platform, SKOOL,
Yeah.
and it's free to join. On there, I'm always adding to it. But there's a 12-week program for Bamhammer where if somebody buys it, I just beg you. I'm like, do this first because Bamhammer is based on 6 essential movements, and it's me going, okay, here's how the movement is, here's how you're going to make mistakes, here's how to build the volume so that you can get a hammer not knowing anything, and over the course of 12 weeks or possibly longer, which I kind of encourage, you're proficient in the basic pieces so that you can start playing and making things up on your own. um, and I give it away for free. This program, we're probably going to put the bones out for free, and it's just a matter of going, hey, it's simple. You, the questions are, if you want coaching in terms of, hey, video this and send it to me. Eventually, we'll get to the point where that goes behind a paywall, but it's not right now. And somebody could just as easily go, hey, would you mind looking at this movement and tell me what I'm doing wrong? I'm like, yeah, that's easy.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so generous too.
I mean, the number of people who have helped me balance my checkbook or, do whatever, I feel like I'm kind of standing on the fringes making stuff up. If I'm gonna cross my arms and not welcome anybody in, that's me shooting myself in the foot
Right.
or dropping a hammer on it.
That's awesome. That's exciting. That also could be like a cool Christmas present to yourself or like an exciting thing to get started with in as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be the new year, but that sounds really fun. Like I want to try that. That sounds so cool. So
Let me know. We can arrange that.
yeah, cool. So the one question that I ask all my guests is if you could share one message of health with the entire world based on your experience, your knowledge, your story, what would it be, Sean?
Everybody has a responsibility for their own health. It's a gift that we give ourselves. It's also a gift that we give to the people that we love, the ability to be there for them in less than ideal circumstances. But that doesn't mean you have to prove that to anyone else. And that's how the system of dollars around fitness works. And if you can recognize that, it kind of gives you the ability to see through the matrix and go, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm actually not interested in allowing myself to be sold that way. And if you can make that separation, there's a lot of freedom that comes from it because you are taking care of your health, but not in a way that it's not for anybody but you. And it's not a super concise way to say that, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to get up on a cold, rainy day and do your program, maybe it's not your program.
Yes, absolutely. Taking it into your own hands and finding what works for you.
Hmm.
That's so important. It's your unique health journey. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing. There's been so much value here. I know that this is going to help so many people. Thank you so much, Shawn, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and check Shawn out. The link is in the show notes for the BAMF Hammer. Follow him on Instagram, reach out to him. He's so down to earth and easy to talk with. So I hope that you take advantage of the value that he's putting out there. Thank you so much, Shawn.
Thank you very much for having me.